Well, with the college football season just about ready to begin, starting on Thursday night, and it gets into full swing next Saturday, what I am going to do here in this next week is do some college football previews. It's kind of like what I did last year, except I'm not going to do it's not going to be like a big long preview of a conference. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do them on certain teams, and I'm just going to upload them separately. And with that, I will start off with the Auburn Tigers, the t-shirt I'm wearing right here. So I will get started. To say that Gene Chizik won a national championship back in 2010, it's kind of a lot like saying that Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens in 2000. No. Yeah, Dilfer was the quarterback and Gene Chizik was the coach, but they didn't really win those. As far as the Baltimore Ravens go, that defense won that Super Bowl. I mean, that was one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL. In fact, I would put them right up there with the 85 Bears. And as far as Auburn winning the national championship back in 2010, I mean, let's just face it. Cam Newton was the main reason why they won that national championship. And I'll bet they're probably looking back in hindsight now, after Chizik was fired at the end of last season, that, maybe they could have or should have kept Paul Rhodes, because he was the defensive coordinator back in 2008, and he went to Iowa State in 2009, and he's been doing a pretty decent job up there. But as far as that, but back to Auburn, it's like, God, how far have they fallen in the last 3 years since they won the national championship? I mean, granted, they did go 8-5 in 2011, and they won the Chick-fil-A Bowl against Virginia. They finished 8-5. That's not too bad. I wasn't expecting miracles in 2011 after they won the national championship and after they lost Cam Newton and Nick Fairley to the NFL. But last year they fell to 3-9. 3-9, really. And the three victories they had, they weren't against world beaters either. I mean, they struggled at home to beat Louisiana Monroe. That game went to overtime. Then the other two victories they had were New Mexico State. They're probably one of the worst teams in the FBS. I don't even think they'd be a good FCS team, to be quite honest with you. And then their other victory last year was against Alabama A&M. They hated Alabama A&M team. They are an FCS team. But, geez, they really can't get much worse now, can they? But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into their season preview. Okay, as I said, Auburn went 3-9 last year. They were 0-8 in the SEC, and they have 5 offensive returning starters, and they have 9 starters returning on defense. And as I said, Gene Chizik was fired at the end of last season. So re-enter Gus Malzahn, who is now the head coach, and he was the offensive coordinator on the 2010 national championship team. And with the new coach, they also have new offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. They were both fired after last season, but they have dual offensive coordinators. They have Rhett Lashley, and they have one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the school, Damian Craig, who played in the NFL for a cup of coffee or two. But then your defensive coordinators are now Ellis Johnson, who he's been a well-respected defensive coordinator in college football over the last 30 years. And then Charlie Harbison, who is the other defensive coordinator, if you will. There's key losses on this team are Corey Lemonwood, who went to the NFL. He was drafted by the 49ers. Then Ontario McCaleb, running back, and Emory Blake, wide receiver, the son of former NFL quarterback Jeff Blake. But players to watch this year, there's running back Trey Mason, who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. Although it seemed like he was an afterthought a lot in the offense because they were behind a lot and they were having to throw a lot. So that's one person to look out for. Then the Auburn secondary, their top 4 cornerbacks and their top 2 safeties return this year, but you just wonder if that's not so much of a good thing because the secondary last year, they had one, count them, one interception in that secondary last year. I mean, and when you have quarterbacks on your schedule this year like Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winner from Texas A&M, when you got Aaron Murray on your schedule, and you got AJ McCarron, who you'll be playing in the Iron Bowl, it's like, yeah, that's not going to quite cut it. You're going to have to do better than that. Okay, as for what I expect out of this team this year, it's not like there isn't any talent on this team, because there is. Former coach Gene Chizik, he recruited some pretty nice classes to Auburn in his time there, but the problem with that is he really couldn't coach them. That was kind of the same thing he had at Iowa State. He went 5-19 in 2 seasons there, and when he got the Auburn job, it's like people were dumbfounded as to how he parlayed a 5-19 record at Iowa State to getting a job at an SEC school. Well, those people were proven right, as it turned out. But after last year's debacle of 3-9, I'm going to temper my expectations for this team a little bit. I will put the link in the description box of my 2012 preview of Auburn to let you know what I was talking about. But as far as this year's team goes, I think they may be able to go 6-6, and heck, maybe they'll make a bowl game this year. So that is what I think of them, and be on the lookout for some of my other previews, and I'll talk to you later.